doing push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ysn Power Hour, powered by Toyota of Warren. I probably should have done this before, but if you can give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. It has been one of those days, folks. So give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. We're in the man cave right now, so we're trying to make sure we're all good to go. I'm going to assume that I've got audio. I know I've got video. It is going to be... it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one today, folks. Obviously, this has been an emotional week for a lot of us here at YSN. And it got a little even more so last night. It got even more so last night. In case you have not heard, and I promised I would keep this quiet as long as he wanted it. And the news came out today that Coach Yeagley of the South Range Raiders. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Amy and Mike, appreciate you. Coach Yeagley is retiring after 28 years. 28 years, great years with South Range. And I had it all pulled up. It has been emotional, folks. You're going to have to bear with me. I've been trying to do some stuff here last minute. Something to the tune of 232 games, I think. Hang on there we go. I apologize. I feel like I'm okay. 248 and 75, 248 wins, 75 losses over the course of the last 28 years. But more than that, Dan Yeagley has been a friend and someone who has believed in so many kids, so many students, so many coaches. He's given coaches second chances. He's welcomed coaches back home. He's given opportunities to people who he believed in. And we're going to talk, if you're looking for anything other than Dan Yeagley's show today, you're not getting it, because this is a man that I love and respect more than so many. A man that was there, and we're going to take you through the whole process, from top to bottom. And I hope this works. I literally just finished this, being that I wasn't planning on having this for a couple weeks. But in honor of Coach Yeagley, I put together something real quick. It's not fantastic, and I hope you like it. Here's a little tribute to Dan Yeagley on the news of his retirement here today. Hope you enjoy it. So everybody wants to know, I'm sure you've been asked a million times, you win the championship, are you riding off into the sunset, or are you rolling into another year?
You know, I was told by a very smart coach, you never make decisions after a loss or after a big win. You guys sit back and reflect, and I'm sitting back reflecting. You know what? How can you not enjoy this moment?
Enjoy it. And
we're enjoying the moment. We haven't thought about it. I haven't talked about it. I've been asked many times, sure. And that's something that I won't even think about making that decision now.
And I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm happy for that. Enjoy
right now,
the moment.
Right now, like I said, we're preparing for next year. I mean, whether I'm there or not, we're still preparing for next year.
I'm happy you said that because
Yes.
I am not emotionally ready to say goodbye to
The
Coach
goals
Yeagley
have never
yet.
changed. I mean, they've been the same all the time. We got to execute. We got to do our job. We got to play fast, and that's our theme. We got to do our very best every single play.
It's all about the kids, which I appreciate more, because that's the first thing we talked about, just being about the kids. And our kids appreciate it. Our community appreciates it. I appreciate you and all you've done for us. I mean, thank you so much.
It's all about focus. And, the kids, we had to make decisions.
Stuck inside this atmosphere, watching my light just disappear, and all the things that I'd forgotten while you were here, now I remember them all so clear. Just give me one more time.
I remember our first interview, sitting in the office. It was so much fun. We sat there, we laughed, we giggled, we cried, and did everything.
I want to win as much as possible, and I want to win with him, and I think he is a great boy. I want those boys.
We ended up getting home around 7. Kelly and I ran to the Dairy Queen, got a little bite to eat, and then I ran over to my mom and dad's and gave them tickets for tomorrow's game. And then came home and talked to you. So, that's been my evening so far.
Well, I know, first of all, I know that he loves coaching. That makes him happy. And I'm very proud of him. It's because I always say to him, somebody else do that.
That's how the money these days.
Little things like that, you always have to prepare. Anything can happen. And guess what? We play a lot of kids. We're playing a lot of players throughout the game. These guys are in that situation where, guess what? They're playing a lot. And they're coming in key situations, key roles, and we put them in those situations for reasons, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know if there's going to be an injury, somebody's just tired, or we just need a change. We need that spark plug. And those people, whoever's on the bench, whoever's on the sidelines, they have to be ready to be that spark to make that change to get the team going. And these guys can do that very well.
I'll swim through the high tide. I'll stand on the front lines. I'll give it all just to see your face and tell you it's alright.
And you don't replace somebody like that. You look to build on it. You look to expand on what he's done.
You are wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, this is PG, all right?
Go Raiders. Go Raiders. Go Raiders.
Go Raiders.
Just give me one more time.
Whew. Oh wow! All right, I put that together, and it was tough for me to watch. To put into words, and again, I apologize. I'm going to be at a lack of words a lot of times, and I might get emotional, and I hope you can understand. Dan Yeagley, Kelly Yeagley have been instrumental not only in what we've built at YSN, but how we've built our family for so many different reasons that I'm going to get into. When we started YSN, and some of you might know this story, and some of you might be hearing it for the first time. When we started YSN, we didn't even have a website yet, and we reached out to 29 different schools and 29 different points of contact. And I found Dan Yeagley on LinkedIn. I had known him for coaching South Range naturally, and heard wonderful things about the man. And it was a hope and a prayer at that point to just start what you see today, just to get it started, just to get the snowball packed together to roll it down the hill. We received 29 no's, hard no's. No, 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 no. We have a newspaper, we have TV, we have this, we have that, we have the other, every excuse. And it was free, right? That's fine. I want to say it was beyond 10 o'clock on LinkedIn. Sent a message, immediately got a response back from Dan Yeagley, who doesn't know me from Adam, and says, "Of course, this sounds great. Would love to meet with you." So later that week we meet. We sit down in his office. I have this printed off paper, probably the worst presentation that's ever been brought to his attention as a teacher. And I said, "This is why I think that it's good, because it's for the kids." And immediately when I said that, Coach Yeagley's eyes lit up and he said, "As long as it's for the kids." And he said, "You're going to have to talk to Don Farron. You're going to have to talk to," at the time, the superintendent of schools was Dennis Dunham. "And if it's okay with them, I'm excited. Let's go." Something to that effect. And doing just as Coach Yeagley, oh my goodness, all that stuff. So I went through the proper channels. We got in, and it was first season that South Range and Crestview had been out of the ITCL, as the new conferences had been formed. The NE8 wasn't in existence yet, but was on the way. And Dan Yeagley, every time I needed an interview, and he does this with everybody. I don't want to say he just picked me. He does this with everybody because he believes in his kids. He wants his kids to have unbelievable coverage. And he wants to speak up so highly of them because he believes in all of them. And we started Coaches Corners in 2017, and we've never stopped. Even with COVID, we never stopped. And through the last 6 seasons of Coaches Corner, I've gained one of the best friends that I could ever have. Someone who has wisdom, has patience, has understanding, who believed in me and believes in me. And I can't tell you what Dan means to me in just words, because fast forward to this past weekend when, East Palestine's on fire, and one of the first text messages and calls that I receive is from Dan Yeagley. And it's, "Are you okay? Are the kids okay? I'll pick them up and evacuate them myself," because he knew I was out of town. That's the kind of guy that Dan Yeagley is. That's the kind of family that the Yeagleys are. That's the kind of coach that Dan Yeagley is. He's the kind of guy that even if you were lucky enough, and I mean that with everything in my heart, if you were lucky enough to have Dan Yeagley as a coach, you understand. And there's a lot of people that are saying, okay, we get it. Like, the passion that I have for South Range, while I love the people there, it started with Dan Yeagley. It started with him believing. So if you're a South Range person, if you are a YSN person and you love what YSN does, you owe a tip of the cap, and probably a lot more than that, to Dan Yeagley. And last evening when he told me, I just finished a Salem basketball game. It was emotional, right? This week's been emotional. I'll be honest with you. I'm in a position that I never thought I'd ever be in. We're safe, first and foremost. This isn't about me, obviously, but he trusted me with this information, and it means a lot to me. It means so much to me because I've trusted him with a lot, and I've trusted his family with a lot. And even though, like, I feel it. It's weird because he's not gone. Like, I could go see him right now and hug him and tell him that I love him and I care for him and all that. But just the I know how hard this decision was for him. And I know the way that he wanted to go through with this. And when I saw it come out on social media today, I just kind of shook my head because I know the way that he wanted to comb through this. But in typical Dan Yeagley fashion, he executes at a very high level. He goes out the way that he goes out. He makes sure that everybody's taken care of before himself. And I couldn't be more proud of him. I couldn't be more humbled and honored to have crossed paths with him in the timing that it was. The state championships, the things that my family was and still are going through in our personal life, to have someone like that to lean on, and I mean lean on, means the world. The relationships that I've built off of the relationship with Dan Yeagley, to be, hand in hand with some of the staff that he has, with some of the kids that he's coached, the student athletes that he's coached. I mean, you look at YSN and it's peppered with South Range grads and future South Range grads. I can't even start to begin to tell you what he means to me. I can't even start to begin to tell you how difficult it was for him to make this decision. And for anybody that's sitting there and saying, oh, he goes out on top because that's what you do. You ride out into the sunset. This decision I can be, and he'll tell you, but I'll tell you on his behalf, this was one of the most challenging decisions he's ever made. I mean, one of the lines I'll never forget last night was Kelly saying that he's been a coach as long as he's been a father. And when you've been doing something this long, it's not an easy decision to say, hey, I'm out. I'm punching the clock. And the reason is because he cares for these families more than he cares for himself. Dan Yeagley's the type of guy that would give you the shirt off his back if he didn't know you. And I'm living proof of that. Living proof. He gave all access pass to a kid from East Palestine who had never played for him. He had no connections to, other than he believed in him. And he hoped that this is going to make our kids better. This is going to make our student athletes better. I owe him everything. And there's a lot of coaches that are on that same plane. But in my life, Dan Yeagley's always going to be that mountaintop. And I told him last night, and I've never told him this before, Jim Tressel is a role model of mine, has been for such a long time. Dan Yeagley is that. He is on that Mount Rushmore of role models in my life. I mean, I don't know how much more I have to prove it to anybody, but in HQ, there's Dan Yeagley, and then there's Jim Tressel side by side. And there's student athletes that I think an awful lot of. But when I think of people in general that care more about the sport, the student athletes, not just on their team, I think of Dan Yeagley. And he is a personification of how the game should be coached. He's a personification of how we should live. And I try to be more like him in so many different ways. So many different ways. And I'll never get there. I'll never get there because there's only one. There's only one Dan Yeagley. We always joke about how we say we share the same initials, DY. And I try to, I mean, my father had the same one, and not that, I wish, just like the song, I wish I had one more sit down with Dan Yeagley. Maybe that time will come, but this is his time. This is his time. Every coach, and I hope people can understand this. I'm sitting there going through through film, of our coaches' corners, and you think of the last 16 weeks that he coached. Perfect. And what he always talks about is they strive for perfection. You can't get more perfect than the South Range season this year. To me, from an outsider's perspective, it was a perfect situation for him to step aside. And I say step aside because he's not stepping out. I told him last night, whoever takes this job, first off, big shoes to fill, and I think everybody knows that. He's very excited about some opportunities that South Range has, and it's because he's not leaving the cupboard bare, so to speak. Some coaches will come in, and whenever it's time to, their seniors move on that they thought that they could ride with, they're out the door because they can go to greener pastures. That's not why he's leaving. He's leaving because there's opportunity for another coach to step in and make an impact on a big basis with a good football team. He would never do that to the kids. He would never do that to his staff. He would never do that to the school that he loves so much. That's the kind of guy that Dan Yeagley is. And he doesn't have to prove it to anybody because he's living it. I mean, that's the difference. There's people that talk about it, and there's people that live it. And Dan has always been an action guy as long as I've known him. Your actions speak louder than your words. And again, I can't even begin to say thank you enough to him for everything that he's done, for everything that he is. It's unbelievable. When we're going to catch up on some comments here. Sam says, congratulations to Coach Yeagley on not just a legendary career, but more importantly, an impactful one to walk away on top. Yeah. Ty Bartell chiming in as well. Respected and loved would be an understatement. Congratulations, Coach Yeagley. Thank you for everything that you've contributed to the sport and the countless lives that you've helped shape. And that's the funny thing off of that. And we talked a little bit about coaching trees last night on the phone. And, everybody that is a part of Dan's coaching tree, everybody that is a part of YSN and everybody that works for YSN, everybody that watches YSN, Dan indirectly has impacted. And I mean indirectly because he'll never take credit for it. But he has 100% impacted every single one. Everybody that's watching right now. Again, Dan Yeagley is the reason you're watching right now. Because there was a lot of no's, 29 of them to start. And then he got the ball rolling at South Range. South Range, Crestview, Salem, and Leetonia, the original four horsemen. And he could have easily just let that LinkedIn message unread. But he didn't. And I'll never be able to thank him enough for that, for doing that. I'm excited for him. I'm over the moon excited for him to spend more time with Kelly because that is the love of his life and one that I think we should all model in our own right. Because you saw it. You saw it. I mean, come on. They're the cutest couple in the world. And they're one that I strive to because there's so much love for each other. And, there's only, I'll say it again, there's only one Dan Yeagley. Our time at every time we sat down, what you saw was about 20 minutes of Coach's Corner, but you didn't see the other hour that we talked about life. And he was asking me questions about how things are going. And, sometimes it was good and sometimes it was bad. And but he always listened and he always was there and he always is, and I hope always will be an ear and someone who can kind of help me navigate waters that are uncharted sometimes. And he's been everything, and you're going to see a lot of people that are giving tributes to Coach Yeagley on social media, and it's all deserved, every bit of it. And I as much as like it hit me last night, and I told him it would. Originally, when he broke the news, I was still kind of on that announcer's high that we get, the adrenaline rushing when you're doing a game, and it was a good game. And I sat in the parking lot of Salem High School while he and Kelly kind of delivered the news, and it hadn't hit me. And then you go through some of the memories, and one of the most humble human beings you'll ever meet. He calls me crazy every single time I wear that South Range Legend shirt proudly. He's a guy that deserves every accolade he could ever get. And I told him a long time ago that he was a Hall of Fame coach, and that anytime he ever needed a mouthpiece, so to speak, to speak on his behalf, I'm there in a heartbeat, and I will continue to be there. I never had the privilege to be coached by Dan Yeagley on the football field, but I've had the opportunity and the unbelievable opportunity to be coached by him in life. And I'm honored. And I guess I'm the lucky one that he's still my coach from that standpoint. And he's still going to be a lot of people's coach in their lives, and check in on people. Now he's got a couple more minutes to check up on people, I guess, right? And I'm sure he will. To be grandpa, to be dad, and to be everything to everybody. There's not a whole lot of people out there like that. And again, there's only one. There's only one Dan Yeagley, and I'm honestly surprised I'm not just absolutely bawling my eyes out right now, because it's been a challenge. But I guess my takeaway is I'll never forget being in Las Vegas this past weekend, and Dan's on the other line saying, "What can I do?" And he's in Columbus at a coach's clinic, and he's trying to make sure and make sure my family's okay, because there's two families he was thinking about in that moment, and he wanted to make sure that they were both okay. And that's the kind of guy, I mean, to the point where he was going to pick up my wife and kids in his truck and get them out of East Palestine. And again, I can't help but get emotional, because again, I know how hard this decision was for him. Something that you've done over half your life, and you're pretty good at it. In fact, you're really good at it. I'm so happy he gets to go out on top. Part of me was thinking that when I was asking questions for Coach's Corner. And yeah, it was hard then to think about that being it, because it was so fun. It is so fun to sit and talk to Dan, and he's easy to talk to. You can ask him anything. In fact, literally for those of you who've never been on that side of the camera or that side of the microphone, I ask every single coach and player, is there anything you don't want me to ask? Is there anything you do want me to ask? And Dan's answer is always, nope, whatever you want. I'm an open book. And he was every single, and literally I asked him before we went on the show, that last show, I said, Dan, do you care, like, if I ask you if this is your last hurrah. And he said, no, because I was getting asked the second I got off the bus with the state championship trophy. I people were asking me right away. And he didn't know. And up until last night, I don't think he had 100% certainty what he was going to do. I mean, he went to the coaching clinic and he said and I hope I'm not putting words in his mouth or breaking any news here. He said he looked around the room and he was so proud of the staff and the way they were interacting with each other. And he said it was the right time. He said it was the right time, and to be able to spend more time with Kelly and do some of the things that they want to do. And of course, I naturally said, hey, Coach, whenever you want to hop in the broadcast booth, you're always welcome, because selfishly, that's a bucket list of mine. That's something that I hope to do someday, is kind of make this thing full circle, even if it's just for one game, is to have Dan in the booth or Dan on, one of our shows. Audible call with Mike, I think, would be phenomenal, to be able to have Coach break down X's and O's for other teams. But we're going to give him his space. We're going to give him whatever he needs and whatever he wants, because he's our coach. Siggy chiming in says, very humble is a great description of a coach, of Coach Yeagley, excuse me. I only had a few interactions with him, but every time I came away so impressed with him. It's such a great man. Amy Foster. Hi, Amy. Amazing season, amazing career, amazing person, amazing friend. He will be missed greatly. Congratulations on your retirement, Coach Yeagley. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of truth to all this stuff, and he deserves every accolade, every compliment he deserves. He is as untouchable as it comes here at YSN. And Sam Torres will tell you some of the arguments that we get into. You get into an argument with me about South Range football, you better mind your P's and Q's when it comes to Dan Yeagley, because one wrong word will not end well for you. You will be picked apart by yours truly. So, and a lot of people also. They know the rule. The golden rule is you do not talk poorly about Dan Yeagley around DJ Yoakley, because it will not end well. I don't care. I'm proud of that. I'm I'm backing. I'll back the same people that back me. So we're gonna take a break. When we come back, a little more. We're gonna talk about Dan Yeagley. Keep the compliments. Keep the messages coming in. I have this crazy suspicion that he's out in LinkedIn land watching. And if he's not, I'll make sure that he gets this. So if you've got anything to say to Coach Yeagley, please let it be said in the chat box, wherever you are, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, any social media outlet. Please let it be known. I know he's watching, and I know he'd appreciate it. We'll be back right after this on the Ysn Power Hour, powered by Toyota of Warren.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Hi, I want to tell you about my Trish Yearwood home collection available at Sheely's Furniture. With 2 locations serving Ohio and Pennsylvania, Sheely's is one of the country's top sellers of my home collection. And the best part? At Sheely's, you never have to wait for a sale. They offer everyday low pricing as well as a price match guarantee, so you can shop the Trish Yearwood home collection with confidence. Come see my collection with something to offer for every room in your home and get it all with free local delivery, only at Sheely's Furniture.
Welcome back to the YSN Power Hour, powered by Toyota of Warren. DJ Yoakley with you in the man cave, so to speak, in my lovely abode. So if you hear stomps on the ceiling, well, welcome to my life. The news coming out today that Dan Yeagley stepping down from his position as head coach of the South Range Raiders football team. Obviously, that they'll be looking for replacements, and we'll get to that at some other point down the road here. I have my thoughts on it. I know that they're going to get a ton of candidates. I know that they're going to, coming off a state championship, naturally, you're going to get some names in there that are going to raise some eyebrows. But all of that being said, I think there's 1 or 2 guys that would be a perfect fit. One of them specifically, and the other one, if things don't shake out. This coaching staff has to stay together. What a special staff that Dan has created. And I think that the kids need that. The football team needs that. And it's for them, it's a huge opportunity to build onto Dan's legacy, to build onto what he's already built. And I don't think you're going to find a much bigger fan of the Raiders to come than Dan Yeagley. I'm sure he's going to have his eye somewhere on that team somewhere along the line, if not every week on YSN. And speak of the guy, there he is right there. Forevermore, the head ball coach. DJ, yes, I am watching. I have been blessed over and over again with great coaches and great players. I'm so thankful for you. Thank you, my friend. No, Coach, thank you. Here we go. Gary says, I've never met Coach Yeagley. However, through YSN, all of your coverage, I feel like I know him well. The access he gave you in YSN to him, his coaches, and the entire team was unprecedented. And he follows up with, congrats, Coach Yeagley, on all your accomplishments. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. And I'm sure Coach does as well. So I guess the question that most people are saying is 2 words. Now what? Now what do the Raiders do? Who do the Raiders turn to? And I have to believe, again, that there's going to be a ton of candidates that are going to feel that they are the right man for the job. I've got, and again, we're going to go over them by name whenever this kind of settles a little bit, and to pay homage, so to speak, to Dan Yeagley. By the way, it is almost imperative for people to go buy the Dan Yeagley shirt now, right? And I know he's probably rolling his eyes right now, but it's on sale. I'm going to buy like 4 more. And one of them's going to hang, and I'm going to get one of them signed. Like all this stuff. Like Coach Yeagley is that big of a deal. Head over to you. I'm going to get you a direct link too, by the way. So that way you can go and get your own South Range Legend shirts. Let me see where it is here. Youngstown Clothing Company is the one that printed them up, and it's actually for a South Range fundraiser, I believe. So all you need to do is go to, it's actually youngstownclothingcompany.com, or I'm sorry, youngstownclothingco.com to be exact. Scroll down a little bit and you click on the Dan Yeagley shirt. It says Coach Yeagley, and it's $23 right now. And they've got small, medium, large, extra large, and double extra large. So I would say that if you don't get there pretty quick, you're not going to get there at all, because that's going to be a popular shirt here in the next, right now, I guess. I've seen it all over Facebook already. People are posting it. The South Range legend, I know, as humble as he is, he probably despises that, but I love it. I love embarrassing him sometimes, and this is just another opportunity to do so because we all think so highly of him. So head over. It's on sale right now. It's $23. Head over to youngstownclothingco.com. Get your Dan Yeagley shirt. Support South Range, and get them before they're gone, because I've got one of them already, and you can bet your bottom dollar, you can bet $23 that I'm going to be getting a few more. So again, Coach Yeagley, you mean the world to all of us, to so many people. I know you've been bombarded with text messages. Your phone's blowing up. I know you're just sure probably just shaking your head at me right now, and we all want to thank you, and everybody wants to thank you because you've done so much for so many, especially in the last 28 years. 204. Jeez, oh man. Apologies. 248 and 75. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. And to have that state championship, I mean, how does it get better than that? How does it get better than that? And for coaches, I know how well respected and how well loved Dan Yeagley is amongst that coaching division. And I got a chance to talk to Andy Hake a little bit earlier after the news kind of broke, and he calls Coach Yeagley the Don. He went and got his own shirt. So the respect that Coach Yeagley has is beyond belief, and it's all very, very well deserved. So I mean, you see people that haven't even met Gary, hasn't met Coach Yeagley and respects him because he feels like he knows him. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. So congratulations, Coach, on behalf of all of us. Congratulations to you. Thank you for everything, and just we'll keep trying to live up to that expectation, that standard that you've set for so many here in the Valley when it comes to football. But for some of us that aren't on the gridiron, just how to be a man, how to be a good person. So thank you for that. Real quick, I want to talk because it has been a crazy week, crazy week. Some people out there scrubbing the walls still in their home, and there's a lot of cleanup that's going on, and we put an official press release out yesterday, and I wanted to kind of expound on that and kind of what and how YSN's affected by what has gone on with the train derailment and things of that nature. That we had a show earlier this week that I did from my in-laws' house. God love them. Thank you for taking us in, the East Palestine refugees. But in all seriousness, so this is how, and I'm going to be DJ for a moment, and outside of the business owner, outside of who on the show, I'm in Las Vegas and I get a call that there's a train derailment, and we've had car derailments before where a cool car or whatever is off the tracks or slightly off the tracks. that's what was going on in my mind. And then all of a sudden I'm getting text messages, your town's on fire, you know, you probably need to get your family out, like all of this stuff. Right. And family is obviously what I thought about first, making sure my wife and my kids were okay. My immediate, you know, the Amy Foster was on here earlier, making sure, making sure they were okay. Excuse me, by the way. My wife's in communication with Amy. Amy's in communication with my wife. Kelly's Yeagley is in communication with both of them. And it's, you know, making sure my friends and my family are okay was my first priority. And then you start thinking about the business, and then you start thinking about how close that our headquarters are to the railroad tracks. And, you know, I'll never go back in. Well, will I ever go back in HQ again? Will I ever, you know, what about my guys? What about, you know, the things that they left behind, the things that, you know, that are safe at night, that are in you know, our headquarters and things of that nature. Things that I mean, people say it all the time after tragedy. You never think that that it would happen to you. And then it does. And then you're kind of like, oh man, I should have taken this out. I should have done this. And there's nothing you could do. Disasters happen, accidents happen, and that's what we're facing right now. So what I can tell you is YSN is as a whole is going to be okay. Like, we're all right. We're going to be just fine. But people keep asking, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? And really, all that I'm going to ask for is patience. Like, we don't need finances. We don't need, like, all that is great. We're very fortunate to not have to dip into any of that. But what I can tell you is we need patience. And what I mean by that is, by the stats we're looking at right now, and we've done kind of a loose kind of basis of where we're at, we're operating at about 50%. Like, we had a bunch of equipment, obviously, that was in headquarters, and we're operating from that standpoint at about 50%. I've got my backup. I have my backup gear. The other gear is sitting in HQ, and while it's open, right, they talked about things being open in East Palestine, and the evacuation's been lifted. The damage is still there. I walked into the HQ yesterday and for about 2 seconds, and the smell was too much. And it's not like dramatic. I have a pretty good stomach. I can handle some smells, right? I've been in locker rooms for a long time. I can handle smells, but this was something that not only made me immediately just stop, it punched you in the face, but then you start running back, like, all of the different chemicals that were mixed and they're in the air, and the EPA is telling listen, I believe them to an extent, that the EPA is telling you you're safe. The air quality is good here and here and here. But when you call I had to make these calls, the calls to lawyers, the calls to insurance, the calls to EPA, the calls to the landlord, the calls everywhere. Can we get somewhere to go? Can we get this? Can we get that? Like, can I get my stuff? Can we get it clean? Can we do that? And you're being told something different from every different side. So what I'm asking, with people sending me messages, which I greatly appreciate, so much appreciate everybody's concern, because it's a scary situation. We've never been in this before. Closest we've been is COVID, and we still have access to our stuff. Please be patient with us. You know, that's the only thing I can ask, is to be patient. We don't have access right now by my order to our headquarters that has everything. Naturally, I mean, you can see this is my home. This is my man cave, the basement, right? You're used to seeing the studio. We don't have access to it right now. We don't have access to our set. We don't have access to we don't have access to a cough drop. It's a fluid very fluid situation right now, and we're doing our best. And I hope you understand that. So if there's a game that we can't get to, it might be because we don't have a wire or an extra headset or an extra computer or things that you typically don't see behind the scenes, us distributing new equipment to places. So if we don't have something, especially with the playoffs coming up, please be patient with us. We're doing the best we possibly can. Trust me, after all of this, the only thing we want to do is do this. We want to do our job. And I couldn't have told you how extremely happy I was to be doing my job last night after not being able to do it after a couple of days. This is who I am. This is what I do. This business is my legacy. This is what I love. Calling games and doing these shows for everybody out there and putting coaches, communities, players on pedestals and saying, this is the best kid, this is the best coach, this is the best community you'll ever know. That is what I love doing. And to not, I mean, I'm sitting here saying don't be a victim to everybody in East Palestine, and I'm not trying to play one here, but that is all I want to do. Do that. That's what I feel that's what I was born to do. I feel that a lot of our guys, that's what they were born to do. And for us to have that taken away in any capacity kind of sucks. And I know it sucks for you, but it sucks for us because we want to give it to you. So if you're asking what you can do for us, just preach patience. We're going to preach persistence. You preach patience. And together we'll make sure that once we come out of this, and believe you me, we will come out of this, it's going to be better than ever before. We're going to be stronger. Same as we all did with COVID. Same as we all do with everything that we do here at YSN. These are just minor speed bumps that we will just fly right over. And then we'll be bigger, faster, and stronger because of it, which means we will be able to deliver better for you and your communities, your coaches, and of course, your student athletes. So, yeah, just please be patient with us. If that's what if you're looking for things that you can help us with, just be patient. We're going to go to our Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey. Anything commercial, anything residential, anything electrical, you need to go over to our friends at Joe Dickey. Tell them why I sent you, please. The Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark today? It's got to be, if you go over to the YSN Facebook page, we shared it. Isaiah, and I'm trying to get some more background on it. Maybe we'll get Isaiah on at some point. Young man with just unbelievable talent. You know, their team was down a lot during the game. Tough game. Coach puts him in, and he had a chance to make a bucket, but only because I believe, as the story I was reading goes, a young man from Louisville gave him the basketball, and he took it down and shot it and scored. You can see it on our YSN Facebook page. I apologize for not having it here. Probably a little bit easier to describe if you see it, but it'll warm your heart, you know. And I think a lot of us have needed that, myself especially, after the week that we've had. So head on over to the YSN Facebook page. Isaiah, you're our hero, but also Louisville boys basketball. I think it was 7th or 8th grade, maybe. You guys are the heroes for doing that. Because oftentimes, as big as you know, real life is, sports becomes such a great conduit for how we should be in our true lives, caring, giving, all that stuff that comes with it. And when you're given the opportunity, you should not pass on it. Always shoot. So thank you for tuning in to the YSN Power Hour today. Again, congratulations, Coach Yeagley, from all of us here at YSN to your entire family. We look forward to big and great things, as always, as we move on down the line. And we're excited to see what transpires at South Range, and certainly what transpires in the Yeagley family. And thank you, anybody out there listening. We appreciate you tuning in. Thank you to our sponsors, Toyota of Warren. Make sure that you're going up there. See Tino. See my guy Tino, because if you don't, you're not getting the best deal on Toyotas in this area. For all of us at YSN, we will see you on Monday on the next YSN Power Hour, powered by Toyota of Warren. So long, everybody.